If you've ever created an LLC in your name and you haven't used a registered agent, then you might not be protected in the way you think you are. Especially if you have employees or rental properties, then you're going to want to listen up. Here's a quick overview of what it looks like. Not everything is in here, but between my husband and I, we've got 3 trusts. We've got my trust, shared, and my husband's. In the shared, we've got our primary home. I won't go into, I haven't detailed out what he has. For mine, I have, so all of the 3 trusts, actually, one important note is that they are where we live, South Carolina. Then I have a holding company in Wyoming. More on that later and why I chose Wyoming. Then I've got a number of different South Carolinian LLCs, all of the LLCs are created with registered agents. And that's again because of anonymity. So that's really important not to actually open up the LLC in your name, but to actually use a registered agent for this. Also really important to use EINs and not your social security number when opening each of these because they are their own entity and they should have their own EIN. Then I've got a couple underneath that is not inside of this structure. Short-term rental, I'll go into more detail on that in another video and why it's not under the structure it was supposed to be. If we had done it with creative financing, which I'll talk more about in another video, then it could be under there. Something that will always stay outside of the structure is my SDIRA. So I converted my IRA into real estate investing, and therefore it has its own LLC and it cannot be ever part of this because it's owned by the SDIRA. What I'm actually investing in my SDIRA, it is actually multifamily and turning that into Section 8, which I'll talk about in another video. Any new property and business that we acquire goes under this section, which is represented by this acquisition LLC. The main reason for this structure is to avoid lawsuits as much as possible. Basically, the reason for anonymity is to make it harder to bring a lawsuit onto you. If you have employees, and if you have rental property, those are 2 really big exposures that you have to ever having a lawsuit. You don't want to make it easy for anyone to find who specifically owns the business directly or the rental properties. Of course, I only wrote down revocable trusts here. The next step is also an irrevocable trust. I'll talk more on that later.